Welcome to today's episode of the Tax Talk podcast. I am here with Peter DeWit, and we are going to be talking about marketing as a foundational aspect for your business. Now, a little bit outside of my typical wheelhouse, but I know from working with Peter and the entire crew at Edge Marketing in Lacombe that their expertise have been a foundational business building block in our firm. Peter is going to delve into some of the aspects that he feels are most necessary to understand as a small business owner and help you really push forward with the next piece of your marketing puzzle. Hope you enjoy today's podcast with Peter. Welcome to the Tax Talk podcast. On today's episode, I am sitting here with Peter DeWit. He is the owner and marketing specialist with Edge Marketing and Design. He has over 30 years of business experience and focuses on delivering strategic marketing solutions for a wide range of small businesses and not-for-profit organizations. Peter, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to hop on the podcast with me.
Well, it's absolutely a privilege and a pleasure to be with you here today, Jared.
Perfect. So on today's episode, we are looking at marketing, a foundational business tool, and I thought who better to bring in for this episode than Peter. I work with Peter and his team at Edge on our marketing, social media, all that, brand awareness, all of the things. They've helped us put out the website, do all sorts of email campaigns. It's been a real joy to work with him and his team, and I figured he would be able to provide some great insight into this topic for the audience today. So without further ado, let's get right into some questions that I know are going to be pressing on your mind. So why is marketing such a struggle for so many business owners today, Peter?
Well, I think one of the main reasons for that is a lot of small business owners didn't really get into business to do marketing. Right. They went into business because they had a certain skill and they were really good at it. Right. And at some point, a lot of people think, well, instead of working for a company, I can do this on my own. Right. And that's where an entrepreneur is born. But a lot of the reality is oftentimes there's a lot more to it than just, printing a business card and starting a business. There's a lot more involved, and you know this from the financial point of view as well. So marketing, generally speaking, is not the first passion that a lot of these people have. Right. So there's a lot to learn from them, and it's fair to say that if you can have the best business in the world and provide the best service possible, but if you don't know how to talk to other people about it and actually market this business, you're going to struggle. And that's what I see a lot of small business owners struggling in this marketing area.
Right. No, and that makes sense. I mean, I know from my own perspective, I've kind of dabbled into this side myself, trying to figure out graphics on Canva, putting together podcast edits, all this. And to a certain degree, I've done okay with it, but I think there does get to a point in time, like you kind of mentioned with me dealing with my clients on the financial side, a lot of times they will try and delve into the bookkeeping aspect of things themselves, but they're not in business to do bookkeeping. I'm not in the business to do marketing. So it probably makes sense for me to get someone like you and your team involved to ensure that I'm getting the most time value out of the marketing that I'm doing for my business. So definitely agree with you on that point for sure.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point as well, and I think marketing is not always seen as a division in the business either, right? Like everybody knows pretty much they need an accountant. We know we need to have systems in place for all these things, but when it comes to marketing, I see a lot of opportunity for the people that figure this out to actually build a system and get better at it. And even if I'm not meaning that you have to necessarily do all the work yourself, because let's face it, marketing has become very technical with things like SEO, paid online advertising, all these digital tools make it fairly complicated for a lot of small business owners. And let's be real, they rather work on the things that they're good at, for sure, and then rely on somebody like us to help them in the other area.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I always preach that to my clients when they come in and they're trying to divvy up what they can do as far as responsibilities. And I say, well, you got into business for X, Y, and Z. Why not focus your time there? that's where you're going to see some revenue come into that business. And then you can hire out professionals that are going to be able to do a better job in a far less period of time. You're going to get way better value, and you can focus on the thing that you actually love to do. If you aren't in marketing, maybe that's not your passion. So lead with your passion and go make some money there and leave the rest of it to someone else.
No, exactly, right? So like I think what I recommend to a lot of our clients is that they get a good understanding of what marketing is at a very high level, at a strategic level.
For sure.
So if once they can educate themselves on what they need to do, now they can either call a firm like us or hire somebody internally that can do the work.
Right.
But the business owner is still in charge of the strategy for the business. Like if they want to grow the business by 20%, for example. I was meeting with a client this morning, and he told me they want to double the business in the next year, which is a very ambitious goal.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I told him, in order to do that, you need to realize that you need to start investing in some of your marketing. And he got it, and I think he's going to be an ideal client for us because he has a vision. He wants to grow his business. A lot of small businesses are started with referrals, word of mouth, doing work for the people that already know, like, and trust you.
Sure.
But that runs out at a certain time. So if you want to really grow your business to a certain point, that's just no longer good enough. And that's a time when we generally get a conversation with people to say, hey, we need to figure this stuff out, but you need to make sure that you pay attention to it yourself, educate yourself so you know what you want to achieve, because without any goals, it's really hard to know if we have reached those goals. But then when it comes to the actual implementation, maybe rely on somebody else that can help you with that.
Right. And that makes sense. Similarly, from a financial point of view, I mean, you don't need to delve into all the details of the tax returns and the financial statements, but you should have a good understanding of the underlying numbers of your financial reports to ensure you know where your business is going. And if you can put in some of that effort on that high level, like Peter mentioned, I think you're just going to be better suited from the marketing, financial point of views, anything in regards to that business.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that small businesses face with respect to marketing?
I think probably, especially for a starting business, like you're on a low budget, you have kind of a shoestring budget, and you try to do a lot of different things. And that's, of course, so that budget is your time. There's only so many hours in the day that you can spend on these kind of things.
For sure.
But also money, right? Let's face it. To make money, you have to spend money, right? That's the old saying.
True.
But that's difficult if you don't have the money, right? So especially at the beginning, you have to be very, very creative. But that limited budget is a real struggle for starting businesses, especially because they're not used to spending money on advertising. And with that also, like one of the biggest challenges that we come across is people don't know what part of the marketing is working and what part of the marketing is not working, because there's no metrics, there's no reporting, there's no information about it, and that makes people very uncomfortable.
Right.
As soon as we start connecting the dot and say, hey, you're investing something in marketing, but we can actually show you results, and you know this from your own program that we're doing with you.
Yep, for sure.
All of a sudden, the investment in marketing start to make a lot more sense.
For sure.
And so until we get to that point, though, that's really something that people need to get over. I think they need to start realizing that they have to invest something, time or money or both, in the marketing area to get results.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think consistency is probably the key there. If you're just putting a little bit of dollars in here or there, or you're just committing a little bit of time, you might see some results here and there. You maybe don't have that system in place that is then able to track what it is that you're doing. So it probably gets a little bit frustrating to see, maybe some sporadic results, but you're not seeing maybe that overall vision that you're trying to build towards. So having a marketing firm in your corner, albeit you got to work with your budget constraints, but I'm sure there's probably something out there for everyone to get you started in maybe an area that is best suited for you, get the best bang for your buck, and kind of go from there.
No, for sure, yeah. Yeah, so one other thing that I personally really strongly believe in is just give away a lot of information for free.
Right.
So even the starting businesses and maybe clients that may not be the best fit for us, We love to help them with good information,
Right.
and just getting them on the right track, because nothing is more frustrating for me to see somebody spending a whole lot of time and sometimes even money into areas of the marketing that are absolutely not going to work for them.
Right.
So that's a bit of a tragedy. So we do provide a lot of free information as well for people to understand better where they're coming from.
Right, right. And I would think for most businesses' perspective, and I know it's from ours, I don't want to come across as salesy when I am doing some networking and marketing. What I try and focus on is just exactly this, providing my clients with some free information.
Yeah.
I find it provides me with the opportunity to learn. And then when I'm having those discussions with clients down the road, I'm able to thoroughly meet their needs in a way that maybe someone that doesn't do some of this is
Exactly.
afforded that same opportunity. So, yeah, I think there's definitely ways that you can connect with your client irregardless of what industry it is that you're with. You just need maybe a bit of direction to kind of get you into the right frame
Exactly.
of mind and the right space. So,
Exactly. And I think when it comes to your sales process, I think conversations turn into conversions, we
Right.
sometimes say, right? Nobody wants to, like you said, nobody wants to be sold to.
right,
But what if you build a relationship of trust? And how do you build a relationship of trust? Is by helping them to solve a problem. And that's really important in marketing. You have to be very clear on the problem that you're solving for your clients.
Right.
And then ideally, when it comes to actually attracting more clients to your business, if there's a way that you can solve a small problem or a problem for this customer before they even become a customer,
right,
and in essence, this is what you're doing, Jared.
Right.
Like you're educating your clients or your tribe, or maybe they're not even clients that are listening
sure.
to this podcast, but you're equipping them and you're building that trust. And that's even if they never become a client of Legacy, you still probably feel good about, first of all, making that investment in somebody else's success.
for sure.
But more often than not, after a while, and sometimes this cycle takes a very long time. I've been talking to people for years and on end. They were not ready, but now all of a sudden we get this phone call or this email and say, "Hey, Peter, we need to talk. Jared, we need to talk because we're ready to move forward." So that makes it really interesting.
For sure. Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to kind of realize with the marketing kind of piece of things is you might put out a bunch of content, whatever the case might be. You're not going to necessarily see all of these clients flood in the doors that day, that week, whatever the case is. But you're out there, you're being consistent, you're planting seeds is the way I see it. And then those just kind of develop over time. Maybe they need a few pieces of content. Maybe they need content in different forms. And then that kind of builds that level of trust that you mentioned. Yeah. And then at some point in time, maybe, you help them solve a smaller problem and then something bigger comes up.
Exactly.
And they already know what to expect from you.
Yeah.
And you're the first call when that problem comes up again.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So if people are on a journey with you,
right.
That's the way I see it. And a lot of marketing people agree with me. People don't all of a sudden wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I need to phone Jared, or I need to purchase this service, or I need to purchase this product." No, it's a journey. It's been on their mind. And I think with the world we live in right now, and especially when it comes to your customer, they've done research on you for a very long time before they even make that first contact, right?
For sure.
They say, there's statistics to support this, that 70% of the buying decisions are made before they even contact you.
Right.
So, and that's the biggest difference in marketing now compared to marketing 20 years ago. 20 years ago, people would look in the yellow pages and look you up, and marketing was easy, right? Because everybody was in the book, so it was just a very easy system. Now, with all the digital platforms, with all the distractions, this has become a lot harder. So if you're not, and that's the biggest thing that we help our clients with, I think, Jared, is to have that online visibility.
Okay.
So no matter where they're searching, how they're searching, you are a relevant source of information. And you are one of the first people they will talk to when it comes to if they need that service.
Right. So you definitely be able and willing to work with businesses to help them stand out. I think that's an important thing. I know when you guys were helping us build our website, we'd kind of come from that archaic 90s looking, it's a professional website for accountants. It has accountant lingo. There's a couple of pages on it. It tells the history of the firm 5 times over, but it doesn't actually say what it is that we could potentially help you with. And now it's transformed into what I like to see is just an information and resource hub.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you've got questions on something, you can find our blog, you can find links to the podcast, and you don't need to be a client today, tomorrow, or next week, but here's some resources for you, and hopefully they push you in the right direction. And
Yeah.
if we're the right fit, then so be it. But I think that website tool for sure, and the way you guys created that was, the backbone and the groundbreaking piece that kind of pushes us forward for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. So a well-designed marketing strategy can serve as a blueprint for businesses to use its resources optimally. How and what do we mean by this statement?
Yeah, so we have a saying in our office that says strategy first.
Okay.
And what we mean by that, like before, I see a lot of small business owners jump into all kinds of marketing tactics.
Right.
So there's a difference between strategy and tactics.
Okay.
So strategy is your overall approach to your business, but also part of your business is the marketing strategy.
Right.
And then the tactics are more or less how do you get to your ideal client, so to speak, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of confusion around that for a lot of small business owners, and I can totally understand it because it's even confusing to me some days, right? Because there's new tools coming out, there's new things, new ways of doing things.
For sure.
So by having a blueprint or a action plan or a strategy, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
you're actually going to take a time out and actually determine, like a few things. When it comes to strategies, basically you would, at the most basic levels, it consists of 3 different steps.
Okay.
It's about establishing who is your ideal client,
Right.
right? Or who's your target market. There's, again, different words that you can use to describe that.
Sure. Sure.
But who are your ideal clients? Every business owner that I talk to and say, hey, who are your ideal clients? Right away in their minds, there's 1 or 2 people popping up in their minds and go like, if I had 3 more Jareds, what would life be like?
All right.
Right? So that's very important because you can't serve everybody. Like every
True.
business that I know in the world has a slightly different approach that fits for some people,
Right.
but may not fit for other people, right? Let's just be real.
Very true.
So the sooner you can find out like who those ideal clients are, what they look like, what do they have in common, you're in a very good position to set that first foundation of your marketing strategy.
Perfect.
Then the second part is done. Okay, like once I know who my clients are, they small business owners? Are they certain demographic of the market? Now you can develop messaging. What are you going to tell those people? You're gonna develop messaging that resonates with those people. So,
Right.
with all the noise, and you asked me about like what are some of the challenges when it comes to small business marketing? Well, the difficulty to standing out is
Right.
huge, right? Because for any accounting office, in Red Deer even, there's hundreds, if not thousands, other options for people available, right? So it's
for
very,
sure.
very convoluted. Almost in every market now, there's a gazillion options, right? So standing out is really difficult. So with your messaging, you want to touch on a problem that these people have. And because people respond to solving problems.
Right.
They don't, in your case, for example, like, yes, you sell accounting services, but in some ways you're selling peace of mind.
Oh, for sure.
Every year I do my taxes with Jared, and I walk out of the office as much as I don't like doing my taxes. And I told you last time, Jared, like I kind of felt a strange sense of fulfillment almost to say, like, we're done for another year.
Yeah.
But that's an emotion. So if you talk to me about an emotion, like not filing your taxes is an open loop. It's something that would nag me to no extent.
For sure.
So I'm actually happy to have that loop closed and actually
good.
have some closure there.
Yeah.
So this is just an example, but we could talk about that feeling that gives me,
Right.
and that other people can relate to that. It resonates with them. They say, hey, yeah, that's me. And now I'm paying attention.
Gotcha.
And then the third leg, and I know you're going to get to this later as well, the third leg of the strategy, I think, is just getting that message in front of the right people.
Right.
And then you talk about the different channels, like what actually based on your clients, like where do they hang out? And wherever they hang out, just like in the old face-to-face networking kind of situations, right? Like
Right.
if it's a chamber of commerce, if it's the local garden club, if that's where your clients hang out, well, go hang out with them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in regards to our firm, I know finding those ideal clients has been a bit of a journey, but I know at this point in time in my accounting profession, there's a way I want to kind of steer myself going forward. I know which clients I enjoy working with. And I think on the reciprocal side, I think those clients can get a lot of value out of me, whereas there's probably some that I'm probably not a great fit for, and they're vice versa, not great fit for me. And it's not that there's something wrong with that. It's just everybody has their own unique niche, and you might as well just lean into that, because you and your client are going to get the most value from that relationship if you're able to match that up correctly. So there's no point just taking everything that goes through the door. I think even if you are a smaller business, be selective to a certain degree and try and find those ideal clients. It's just going to work better for everybody in the long run.
No, exactly, and that's almost like a rookie mistake that I've made, like probably in my first business. Like you get going on something, and everybody that comes to the door is a win, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think the bit more mature businesses have figured this out. And again, if you can be, because there's also a thing like marketing will attract attention to your business and get more people interested in what you do, but you can also attract the wrong kind of people, right? So marketing also should serve to discourage some people to actually even contact you, because you can, especially in the professional services industry that we're in, talking to a new client, coming up with a plan for them, like the free consultations and all that, actually takes a fair bit of time.
That it does.
Right, and it's and again, based on what I said earlier, sometimes I know fairly quickly that they may not be a good fit. I want to spend an hour with them and just maybe we can add some value to their day and actually make life better. But in a lot of cases, I would, and that's something we're constantly working on as well, for our own company, but also for other clients. How can we actually discourage certain people that you not really serve very well? How can we discourage those people actually contacting you so they don't waste their valuable time? And the same for you, right? So that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, you're doing everybody a service by making that marketing effort as targeted as it can be for yourself and for that client. That way nobody's wasting their time in that process. So, and then, beyond that, as far as our firm goes, the messaging and then the deliverance of that message to the right market, for us, I think it's always been a bit of a journey. I mean, I'll grant it, accounting and tax is maybe not the most thrilling topic for most people to go and look at on social media or wherever the case might be. But I've found that just hopping into this medium, whether it's podcasts or blogs or whatever the case is, like you said before, providing that free information to clients that's there whenever it is convenient for them to use it. It might not be that month when I release it. You might see it 6-12 months after the fact when you actually need it. And then it's there for you, and you can use it in a way that works for you at that particular point in time. So.
No, exactly right. Yeah, I do believe, I'm totally agree, like the content, the generating content. And that's a concept that I think a lot of small business owners need to get used to yet. And I, including myself probably, I'm doing this interview, we're doing webinars, we do some video, like just giving people like behind the scenes insight of, first of all, we're real human beings, right? We actually have our own perks and flaws, perhaps, but that's what people are interested in, because with all the technology in the world, and like I said earlier, like marketing is becoming very, very technical.
Yes.
But with all the technology aside, people still deal with other people, and that will not change. And AI or nothing will ever change that, right? Like we actually want to, in the end, we want to interact with a human being.
Yep.
We want to be like that other person, trust the other person, and have a relationship. There's a lot of instances I can think of over my 30 years of business career that we were not necessarily the lowest bid on something, but we had a relationship. They trusted us. Right. There was just something more going on, right? And I see that a lot. We always feel that our clients are very rational beings when it comes even to buying accounting services, but we're not.
Right.
Right, because we have so many different choices, and so we want to give our business really to a person we actually like and trust.
For sure. No, that makes sense. So this one is a little bit open-ended, but I'll let you kind of take it where you want to go. So what foundational areas of your business are impacted by that marketing plan that you put together?
Yeah, well, so at the very basic of any marketing strategy is getting the attention in your industry, right? In your niche. And that's becoming increasingly difficult, I think. There's so much noise out there. There's so many different things that people can look at. So people have a very short attention span.
For sure.
So whatever you can do to capture some of that attention. So first of all, people need to know about you, right? That's a very basic step. So in essence, a lot of the work we do is about, getting people to know you, that you exist, right? If people don't know you exist or they can't find you when they go on Google or on social media, it's like you don't exist. And you can have the best business in the world, and I've seen it so many times, superior businesses, superior products, but nobody knows about them. So then that's a bit of a tragedy, right? So we really help clients with getting that attention. And then what's really important as well with, after you get the attention of somebody, I think it's really important to capture that attention as well. So again, I always make the comparison between having 1,000 likes on your latest LinkedIn post or having 10 people contacting you for a quote.
Right.
What would you rather have?
Right.
So I think most people would agree, 10 more leads, that would be awesome, right?
Makes sense.
So 1,000 likes on Facebook, great, or 1,000 visitors to your website, great. But what does that mean for actually your new business? And that's, I think, what's really important to keep in mind when you put together your marketing plan. Like I said earlier, set some clear goals. If you have revenue goals or business growth goals, that needs to be reflective in your marketing strategy. Right. So if you want to double your business, which is extremely ambitious and
why
probably
not shoot for the stars?
Not really realistic. But even if you have, I think the smart entrepreneurs and business people have goals.
Right.
They set goals for themselves, because if you don't set a goal, you don't know if you have arrived. Right.
Makes sense.
So that's really important. So I think if your goal is to set to grow your business, you need to have some of these conversations about, okay, how we're going to make that happen.
Right.
And marketing, again, is this tool to get the attention, to start building the relationship with your tribe, with the people that are potential clients, and then nurture that relationship to the point that they're ready to make a purchase, make that call.
Right.
And believe it or not, this call comes way later in their journey with you. Than, say, 15 or 20 years ago. So, so acquiring and retaining customers, and that's another thing that I see an opportunity for a lot of businesses, especially if you've been around for a while. We met with somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they've been around for 10 or 15 years. So I asked the owner, well, how many clients do you already have that already have bought from you in the past? And said, well, we have, I don't know what the number was, 4,000 or 5,000 people. So, okay, well, that's great. So those people already know you because they've purchased from you before. They already like you because they've dealt with you. Yeah. There's a relationship there. Yeah. And they probably trusted you enough to make that first purchase. So since that first purchase, 5 years ago, what have you done to that list, that group of people, to stay connected to them? Right? And then oftentimes I hear crickets because they know they should have done that. But at that scale, you can possibly phone 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Right.
Even once a year. That would be a full-time job.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right? So with some of the marketing tools available now, we can actually make that simpler. You're doing email marketing. It's very successful.
100%.
So, again, sometimes it takes take a step back to really find out what are the low-hanging fruits that we can work on first before we start spending a whole bunch of money on generating new leads. People, complete strangers that don't know, like, and trust you, right? And then I know that needs to happen as well. Yeah. You need to always be out there, because you have people that also leave you occasionally, right?
Correct.
Yep, sure. In your case, nobody ever.
Yeah, I'm sure there's the odd person that walks out the door every once in a while.
Exactly right. So every business has a little bit of that. So yeah, if you want to, I think a healthy business needs to grow. So you always are looking for strangers to get to know you. So I'm not minimizing that, but let's also look at what you already have.
Oh, for sure.
And if you can have repeat clients, it's a lot easier to sell to them than it is to complete strangers.
And I would agree. I mean, wholeheartedly for the firm, there are numerous opportunities for us to provide services to our existing clientele that a lot of times we just overlook, largely probably due to the fact that a lot of the work that we do is compliance-based. So, I mean, if you're getting into March and April, you're just trying to get those personal tax returns out the door. We maybe don't have the time to focus in what other services we can provide at that time. But when we get this overarching strategy in place, we start to get some of these tools that are available to us, these email market campaigns, things of this nature. a lot of this can be automized. We can think about this ahead of time, get these plans in place, and then, maybe I can't have a one-on-one discussion with every single client that comes through tax season, but maybe you're going to see an email that triggers, oh, I do need that service.
Yeah.
Maybe Jared's too busy to deal with it right now, but
Yeah.
come May, we can sit down and talk about retirement planning or whatever the case is. So
exactly.
like you said, they already like you, they already trust you, they're already doing business with you. Why not tap into that market as opposed to spending all your dollars going and hunting for new people?
Yeah.
I would agree. You got to
Yeah.
keep that brand awareness up to keep
Yeah.
pushing
Yeah.
things forward.
Yeah.
But look internally and find those potential leads and opportunities that it may have been just missed due to the fact that
Yeah.
you just overlook them sometimes.
No, exactly right. And the same thing that can happen to actually new leads as well. So, okay, a stranger
Right.
has made contact or actually has visited your website or social media platform, but there's no follow-up.
Right.
So then again, it's amazing how quickly people forget about you.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right, and that's just human nature. So we only look for an accountant when we need one.
Correct.
We only probably look for a plumber if we need one.
Yep,
Right, like we
yep.
don't necessarily spend a lot of time in between those, episodes of inquiring and looking for that information. So
Right.
I think you brought up a really good point of systematizing some of your marketing as well, which I'm a really big believer in.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. But ultimately, I think a business wants to set up like a lead generation system that actually produces predictable results. So even if you're really busy in your tax season,
Right.
there's something in the background automatically running,
Right.
like may it be this nurture email to some of your clients that they truly believe that comes from you.
Right.
Because it has your name on it.
For sure.
And they can figure it out. It's probably an automated system, but
Sure.
it doesn't matter. Like deep down in our psyche, we go like, well, that's actually, legacy tax. I need to deal with that. So
Right.
you get into the inbox and eventually they may delete that email. But more often than not, like if people are actually looking for your service, they know they have to deal with this. They actually keep that information. I get emails back that were sent like 6 months, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But they've never deleted them. And then I get those emails back, say, yeah, Peter, we need to talk. So that tells me they were not ready 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Things
Right.
have happened.
For sure.
But who's the guy they're going to call first? Well, in this case, it was me because I stayed in contact with them. And,
Right.
and what you're doing with your content program and actually educating people will do exactly the same thing.
For sure. No, that's excellent. So would you say that a corporate website is the most important marketing tool for a small business?
I'm a little bit biased.
Fair enough.
Web development and website building is really a big part of what we do. But it's but also on the same token, I do believe that actually, and I probably contrarian to some other people in our industry even that have different ideas about it. But it doesn't matter. I believe that your website is the foundation of your digital marketing strategy. And when I say digital marketing strategy, it's pretty much the foundation of your overall marketing strategy. Right. So a few things about your website are it's your first point of contact for a lot of new people.
For sure.
So what is the first impression they're getting from your business? Right. So that's really important. And we know you only have a couple seconds to make a good impression. So
Very true.
if you have a professional service or whatever it is, and your website looks like it was built by a 3-year-old, right? It just doesn't match the expectations. It doesn't build a lot of trust. So the trust building is very important.
For sure.
Then also, I like to argue that a lot of the conversion that we talk about, so going from a stranger to somebody that actually makes contact with you, or at the very least raises their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in what you have to offer. Like we call it a lead.
Okay.
That conversion generally happens on the website, not on social media and other platforms. The social media is really good at actually that lead generation and getting the attention.
Right.
But most often, the conversion actually happens on the website.
Right.
In addition to that, just like I believe in owning things, right? So I own my own house.
That's fair.
I own a few things, but I don't really believe in renting things if I can help it, right?
Sure.
So I tell my kids, buy your house. So we're 2 out of 3 right now. So if you're listening to this podcast, you know who I'm talking about. But honestly, like your website, you own it. Like it's not Google that owns his website or Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't own your website.
That's good.
Garrett. So
we don't need that.
Just so you know, right?
Excellent.
But in all honesty, like it's something that you can bring to the bank, basically. And even sometimes I talk about succession planning, which I think is a service that you really focus on one of the many things you do. But I even tell people business owners, and oftentimes it's an interesting conversation about succession planning or even an exit.
Yep.
Some people have absolutely no idea what that's going to look like. They have no plan in place. But
Sure.
more often than not, Jared, there's actually people, their eyes kind of light up when I bring up the topic and said, yeah, like in the next 5 years, the next 10 years,
Yep.
we're actually trying to sell our business.
Oh, okay.
Well, your website, with some of the marketing tools to make this website work,
Right.
like your lead generating system and some of the things, a predictable flow of new business, I think it's going to be extremely important for the new owner.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like your
For sure.
equipment, your building, yeah, that's all important. That needs to be there as well. But what about if you're no longer there and buying your business? And let's face it, a lot of small businesses are kind of
Yep.
owner operated. Even sizable businesses, the business owner or the founder, the CEO, is kind of the face of the company.
Yep.
Well, what happens if this person leaves? Well, now you actually have something that you can point to. Say, we have like a lead generating website
Right. Right.
that does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So I think there's a lot of value there.
For sure.
So yeah, like in my world, like all the roads gonna lead to the website,
Right.
and from there you can connect with your ideal clients, and like anytime you steer away from that, you're gonna lose out, because let's face it, and this may be news for people that are listening to this, not everybody's on Facebook. Okay, I know there's billions of people on Facebook, but not everybody's on Facebook, and it
Right.
depends on your clients, your ideal clients again, right? So if you serve somebody, because I get this discussion quite a bit, or occasionally I should say, Peter, do we still need a website? Like I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on all those things.
Right.
And I try to kind of respond to that, say, well, wait a minute, you're renting all those properties.
Right.
You don't own that. Like Facebook could not exist 10 years from now. I mean, again, it's a ridiculous statement, but
Yeah.
that TikTok is kind of in the
Yeah.
news a lot, right?
For sure.
So if you build your whole strategy, your marketing strategy, how you find new clients on some of those tools,
Right.
and you only have one or two tools, if that falls away, now you have absolutely nothing. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I guess I've kind of realized and gained appreciation for that website as more of a hub of that business, and everything transpires out from there. And I mean, like we've kind of touched on, it goes beyond just marketing. The system that we have set up, new people touch base with me, it creates a new contact within there. I'm able to easily turn that around into a meeting with them, which can translate into revenue for the firm. So that to me is the hub. There's a lot of valuable information that goes in there. And if we get into that succession planning topic, I would agree. I mean, having that piece there, having my client list there, that is valuable information that people can see. They can see the email campaigns that go out and the success rates that, we're enjoying with those things. And this is all data that a new potential owner could use to move that business forward. So to me, that website's always that hub and a key piece of that marketing puzzle for sure.
Yeah.
So I think in just kind of wrapping things up here, we've kind of briefly touched on the budget side of things. When is the best time for a business to kind of get a hold of you guys? Is it, when they're walking into a registry's office and they want to go incorporate this week, or should they get a little bit further down the road? What's the best time for someone to touch base with Edge?
Yeah, so like we're positioning ourselves in the mid-sized business scenario. Yes, we do some startups, but yeah,
Okay.
like one of the biggest problems we already talked about is startups. They don't always have the money.
Fair enough.
So again, I'm actually doing a presentation on that in a couple weeks
Okay,
about
right
like
on.
how to do marketing on a bootstring,
Sure.
shoestring budget.
For sure.
Right. So, but that's one of the things, of course, a bit of a hurdle that, of course, everybody kind of needs to be ready for.
Right.
But I would say like the best time is to talk to us right away.
Nope,
even
that's
if you're not ready for us right away, or you don't need all our services.
Okay.
It's always good to learn more, I think. But if we have very success with businesses that want to grow,
Right.
there needs to be some, they've status quo, and you don't need more clients. And that, believe it or not, that when things are really busy in Central Alberta,
Yep.
it sometimes happens. Some people say, "Don't give me more clients."
I can attest to that sometimes.
Exactly, right? So at that point, of course, like why would you spend time and money on getting more clients if you don't have a process for it? So
Right.
a few things we look for, like you're growth oriented in a healthy way.
Sure.
Like I don't recommend ever having a 100%
Sure.
growth goal necessarily in 1 year. It's probably very difficult, but so when your referral network and the word of mouth kind of runs out, I think that's a really good time to start considering, okay, like how can we actually put some fuel on the fire and get a consistent flow of new leads coming into our business.
Perfect.
It also depends on your service as well, right? If the average sale you're making is $500 or $100, or if you're a coffee shop, for example, your average sale is like $10. Some of the things that we have available, some of the things that we talked about today may or may not be within reach for what you're doing, right? So we don't service those kind of businesses that well. Like, I mean, there's better options for them.
Sure.
But so in this mid-market, if you want to grow, your referral network is kind of tapped out. You actually have to find strangers to come into your business, and you really want to streamline some of those processes. That's a really great time to talk to us.
Perfect. No, and that's great. And I mean, I would say from our perspective, a lot of the new business comes into the firm is from referrals. You get to the point where you just know enough people and you do good work. Clients just kind of keep referring, and it works well. So from our perspective, it's been very beneficial to kind of compile all of this into one place, be able to track it, and to be able to tap into the existing clients. And without Edge and without having that system in place, it was just kind of us floundering around, throwing things out there, seeing what stick. But now we've got this overall plan as to how to proceed onwards. So it's been good to work with you guys and capture that growth vision for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, Peter, I just want to say thanks again for taking some time out of your busy schedule to hop on the podcast with me today. If anybody is wanting to touch base with you to have a conversation, see what kind of services they could be provided with from Edge, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to our main website, edgemarketing.ca, and get a hold of me that way. On my personal site, you can also go to peterdewit.com. My email, my contact information is in there as well. So, yeah, I'd love to talk to you. Again, I'm passionate about small business marketing, small business in general. I talk about a lot more than just marketing. But, reach out, and definitely love to have a conversation.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Peter. Really appreciate it. For the Tax Talk podcast, once again, I'm Jared Pallon. Thanks again for listening. Take care, and we will talk again soon.